Okay, so I said, is AI in education ethical? So my view on this was basically, I think that we, I mean, there's no way to get rid of AI anymore, but I feel like in a way we have to kind of have a limit. I think it's taken away from the traditional way of learning and like student integrity. I feel like there's not only is it affecting us like as a student body, but it's also taking jobs. And like yesterday he talked about talking to AI for a psychologist, and me who's studying psychology, I kind of put it in a perspective of like, okay, so if you're gonna be able to talk to an AI psychologist, like what am I even in school for? So I guess I kind of thought of it more in that sense, like more in depth. And I feel like it also goes not only to students but to like professors. Like um a lot of times now, like you see like if you run it through AI, you see them using AI. So it's kind of like, do you even know what you're talking about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like we need to have some kind of limitations. Although it's hard to just fully get rid of it, I feel like artificial intelligence is definitely not very ethical to be using in school systems anymore.
Yeah, and yesterday when he was showing us the video of the like the school where like the teachers are AI, and like they're supposed to be teaching the kids, and there are absolutely no teachers. You're not the humans that are there are not allowed to teach the kids. Like I'm studying to become a teacher. I'm like, well, I still don't think that's capable of taking that job like en masse, but it is worrying to see that there are going to be kids at all that are learning this way.
I mean, that's kind of like how I saw it too when he was talking about the AI like being used for mental health. I was like, well, this is what I'm in school for. So is there even like in the long run, you think about like this is going to end up just taking jobs. And I mean, AI doesn't have feelings, and psychology is basically knowing feelings and knowing all of those things. And to me, I was just like, I don't know, like in the long run we're just not going to have teachers anymore, and we're not going to have students are just going to be so into the AI that that's like how like they're going to start thinking. So I mean, I don't really think there's like a purpose in like learning anymore if we're just going to look everything up and talk to a robot.
We can't. I feel like we can't rely on it too much at all. I definitely agree with you when you said it kind of takes the point away from coming to school at all. AI could be helpful in some situations. I think it should complement school and how professors and students use it. But as far as taking over that much in class, I feel like it just erases the experience from the students.
I agree as well, and I agree with your standpoint, but as far as like the teaching and the psychology, I feel like it only can go to a certain limit, because like what you said with the how humans have their own emotions, AI doesn't go through the lives that we go through and experience different things. So people get these jobs and they're teachers because, say, I was in the hospital for a week and I couldn't do my work, but in the syllabus it says there's no exceptions. But a teacher that has emotions and can rely, or kind of is at an understanding point, can give you leniency. But if you talk to an AI, there might not be that leniency on certain things like that, because they don't understand that these are things that happen day to day, and they're just going by their set base rules. As well as psychology, they don't, if you are a therapist or something and you're taking someone that has very out of the ordinary problems and it's very hard for them to fix, if AI is just looking at other people's experiences, if they're looking at online at experiences, they're looking at the general population and what is normal, so they see what's normal and they only can give a certain amount of advice, rather than a person that extensively studies their said diagnosis or whatever it is they're going through.
I agree with that. It takes away from the point of one of the points of school, which is kind of interacting with people and forming connections with others.
I mean, I also talked about how like you basically can also use it. I mean, I know students use it as a self-checking thing, or kind of like a, if you don't understand something, because I myself will say that I do this, kind of go back to something that you didn't understand in class, and you kind of just say, can you summarize this for me? I think in a way that's a good thing to do, but I mean, other students are kind of just taking like the advantage of it, of write this whole essay for me, rather than just self-check, summarize, tell me what this is about. So I think it's kind of hard to balance those things out, but I don't know, I think it's just rapidly growing, and it's just taking a lot over the education system nowadays, especially in high school, college level things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next stop, or should we stay on this one? Okay. Okay. All right. I was talking about the artificial intelligence companionship replacing human interactions. So basically, if a human were to look for a companion, anybody to talk to at all, it would go to AI. I don't fully support it. I feel like AI could provide things like a simple conversation, like quick responses and stuff like that, but it can't really reach like the empathy and like the experience from a real person. Like if you were to talk to a real person, like you were saying about the psychology stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And with human interactions, it involves like shared presence, like I said, like emotional experience, understanding of another. A computer could only understand so much of what you give them. I also noted that relying on it could cause harm too much. Relying on official companionship could cause harm. It could weaken your social skill a lot, and you could lose touch with even your family members, the ones you talk to often. You could lose sight of the community you're in. But I got that AI companions could be helpful to a certain point. If a human was lonely and he had no human to talk to at all,
Mm-hmm.
they could they have apps or little conversation starters you could get with the AI, and you could do that. But if you take advantage of that, like I said earlier, then it'll take away your social skill, this and that. So as in for the your topic, I would say about the same thing. It should not replace it, but it should complement human interactions.
Okay, yeah. I think my take on this is, when we saw that video of the guy who had like a full-on relationship with like their AI girlfriend, I feel like, me personally, I of course would not do it, but I also don't see why it's like a bad thing if a person, isn't as social as others, or doesn't really know how to put themselves out there, or really kind of find someone. I feel like this is a good alternative for that. I mean, it doesn't, to me, I don't think how it affects me. I do find it different than, the normal basic relationship with a normal human.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the AI is being that person for you, like someone you can talk to, and kind of just giving you that support and like what you're looking for, I mean, I don't really see why there's a problem. I do agree in like limitations basically, and it's very out of the ordinary, but I mean, with the video we saw, I didn't really see a big problem with it. I think it's, like I said, out of the ordinary, but I mean, it's what's like happening now, so there's really nothing to do about it.
I mean, when you say like, oh, this is a good alternative to people who can't like find a relationship, well, if they have that, then they're never gonna learn how to have a relationship,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Is that you have to, like, if you're not good at talking to people, the way to get good at talking to people is just talking to people.
Mhm.
Like if you're talking to an AI, you're never gonna get better at talking to real people. If you're trying to little chat bot. You're never gonna learn how to talk to an actual woman. And you'll be in this not cycle per se, but you'll just kind of be stuck in this bubble
Yeah.
of like
Mhm.
and like God forbid the Wi-Fi goes out.
That reminds me of what he said Tuesday, because what was it? He said something about how the AI only agrees with you. Meanwhile, people are always different, and they can always disagree with you. Maybe fight you sometimes. Depends on how they feel.
Yeah.
I agree. A big part of growing like with a friend or a girlfriend or just any relationship is you grow through this, like you can't, it's hard to have a friendship or anything with someone who is just always like you're always on the same side, nothing different about each other, which it works, but it gets to a point to where you're just kind of just stale. Everything's stale. You don't have any, not necessarily arguments, but things that'll help you grow. Like I see this point of view on this and you see this. How can we get, you work through things like that, and then it creates a stronger relationship. And if you're just talking to an AI, then if they're always agreeing regardless of how good or bad your standpoint is on something, not only can it, if you have a really terrible take on something and it's just constantly agreeing with you,
Yeah.
then you sort of build this delusion on yourself, which can also be a negative impact on if you do try to talk to real people after the fact. Then you're kind of in this delusional state because you've been tricked into thinking you're right about everything all the time, and then you get into a group of people and then you have disagreements and you don't know how to act.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do your topic?
Sure. For my topic, I said that AI lessens the need for critical thinking and creativity. I didn't really know what to write for it, but I do know that people do like to use AI to just write down their ideas a lot, because I've seen people just come up with ideas but they don't know how to act on it, so they use AI to think of what to do with it for them, and then to look up the information for it with the AI, so that they don't have to do the minimal effort required for the said thing.
Exactly. And I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to bring up the lack of critical thinking in students today, but I looked down the list and I was like, oh, we're gonna get into critical thinking anyway. I'll just hold off on that. But in education, you see kids that don't know basic grammar or how to tell time on an analog clock. But that's kind of been a thing forever. But you'll see kids that just don't know anything, and you see there are a bunch of TikToks about teachers nowadays, and you'll see students that don't know how to read, and I think a lot of that is because of AI and how it just kind of does things for you, and so you'll never need to actually read beyond a first grader level.
Yeah. And to kind of go off of that, with little kids not really having that imagination anymore. I have a little 7-year-old brother who, for the most minimal things now, even he uses AI, which I feel like critical thinking is kind of part of you growing up and building character and kind of thinking. And I feel like with AI now, it's just doing all of that for you, where you're not going to have basic knowledge as you're growing. So it's just kind of taking away from that development that children have, not just children, but in general. It takes away from actually thinking and knowing basic knowledge, basically.
Yeah, and you can say the same thing for art. It's it gets rid of the entire point of why you're doing it in the first place, is to get better and learn as you're doing it. With art, it's, you just tell it oh yeah, I want to do this, and then there's no innovation towards it.
Yeah.
In animation, there's so many animation today is built off of hundreds and hundreds of years of, well, just a couple hundred years of innovation and learning how the medium works. But with AI, it just kind of takes all that and just it just picks and chooses different things and then just kind of plasters that onto like, oh, and it's a new video now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of gonna actually bring up that point with Instagram and TikTok. You get your own type of videos, but personally, I get a lot of, like you said, animations, like if it's a cartoon or an anime or anything like this, or edits. And a year or two back, people put a lot of effort into, and this is just a style of art, people put effort into these things. They go throughout a whole day and personally animate things to move a certain way or to look a certain way in their edit. And then now people can go on an AI prompt and say, make this person or character do this, and then sync it.
Yeah.
And then it's just a preset edit or whatever it is that can be made in 30 seconds, when maybe a year or two ago people would spend a week to work on this thing. So and a lot of people, it gets a lot of negative feedback because it takes away, like you said, the creativity and just the artistic part of the whole animation process and a lot of that.
Yeah. We can go on to yours.
All right. So, despite my opinion on AI as AI generation as an entirety, as an entire entity, I do think if you're gonna do anything with AI, it's probably healthcare. Like we saw yesterday when it was the skin maladies, as you can send it into an AI and they'll be able to tell you exactly what it is, and usually they're pretty good at that. Surgery, while scary at first, when you think about it a little further, it does actually kind of work. Last year, they had a robot perform a gallbladder surgery without any human help whatsoever, and it was successful. I think one thing is that robots have steady hands.
Yeah.
Hands in quotations, but regardless, they can they don't shake like people can, and I think the use for them in and AI can even detect cancer cells before humans can or could, and if you can do that, then you can treat it quicker and get it over with. And I don't think any of those things that AI can do would replace nurses or doctors or anything, but it would free up time because hospitals are very fast-paced environments for the people that work there. So if a doctor doesn't have time to look at something and be yes, that's cancer, all right, they can just all right, get the AI to look at this, I'll go do something else.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think the best place to use AI is probably healthcare. It is hard to, whenever someone's oh, a robot's about to do surgery on you, it's kind of hard to trust and kind of, you have to think about it. But I mean, like you said, they have steady hands and it's been successful. And if it's something that the artificial intelligence can detect, like cancer cells, what we talked about yesterday, in healthcare, I mean, if it's easier to detect before humans can, I think it's the most effective way to use AI. It is, like I said, hard to trust, but I do agree in the sense of I think it's the best place to be using AI, which would be healthcare, to detect things before humans can.
I agree. I think it's because it takes a humanitarian standpoint where it's protecting life, and a lot of people argue against it because they always will bring up the factor that it'll take jobs, and a really big thing that people go to a lot of school for and spend a lot of money on and put a lot of time in their life on is to become some sort of doctor or nurse, and it puts a lot on them. But you've got to look at it at a point where if AI is significantly better, it reduces the amount of accidents or incidents that human errors can have, and if it advances us in medical technology throughout the future, it's a step that we're just going to have to sacrifice and take because it's for the better good of human life, and it'll create better options for people to be healthier and new studies and stuff. So
Mhm.
And even then, like, I don't even think that AI would replace doctors and nurses, because like there are things that doctors can do that AI just couldn't.
exactly.
Like diagnosis in terms of like, oh, like things that aren't things that AI can detect immediately. You know, like you probably want to have an actual doctor on that. Like if you take a physical exam,
Yeah.
you know, like an AI can't do that yet. But it, like doctors and nurses, like the nurses, they can give you like your shot or your whatever you need, and then the doctors can come in and like give you the news of like what's going on. It's a lot easier to take that from a person than an AI.
Mhm.
That's true too, because if you walk into a doctor's office and you tell them you have these problems and you think it's bad, but they can diagnose you and say the severity is not that bad. But like if you say, if you go on Google and are like, my ear hurts, what's the problem? And the first thing it'll tell you is,
It's like, oh, you got
yeah,
cancer.
your ear is gonna fall off. You have
Yeah.
cancer, you're gonna die. So I think that's definitely a stand back where if a regular human doctor came in and you're in their office and they analyze you just off of what they're doing, I think they have a better way of diagnosing you than AI does, because they're not visually seeing and feeling and seeing what's wrong. They're just taking what you say, plugging it in, and then they get their algorithmic response, which can be anything, like the Google thing. If you just put a very vague symptom, then
Mhm.
it could be almost anything, and they can
Mhm.
misjudge what you have. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear.
Oh, wait, we're done.
That's always how it is.
yeah,
Oh, but it's been 20 minutes.
Oh, it's fine.
All right.
Or we can go over yours if you still want.
well, my main topic was just in the use of drones in warfare. I don't think throughout the general population that it's much of a debate on whether we should or shouldn't be using them. It's just more of, I think we can all agree that it's unethical for the use of drones. If you've seen or heard any of the stories about them, they're pretty brutal. So, but the problem with it today is it's not a war crime. So unless it is used against civilians, which we've seen in the news that it has been, my stand is, I think should just be removed completely. I don't think that I think that they're going against the humanitarian standpoint. Again, with this one, it's just the trade of a human life for a piece of technology that has infinite replacements. While if a soldier is out there and he's going against a drone, this guy, he can be replaced, but he can't be replaced to things outside of the military. Say he has family and stuff, which
Mhm.
it's only an argument in this point, because if it's a human versus a human, which is how I think it should be, or humans versus things that are controlled by humans, I think tanks and air warfare are fine, because it's still human on human. Anything, like, the way it goes is the way it goes. But if you're just replacing this and you send 12,000 guys out there and they've got 20 drones, they could just come through and wipe these people out, and they don't lose anything. They don't lose a life. They still stand on their numbers. And I don't think it shifts the tide in wars enough for it to be useful. Like, if a drone warfare isn't high tech enough for it to be the win or lose factor in a war, it's whether or not your soldiers die a very brutal and unhuman,
Inhumane.
Yeah, inhuman death,
Mhm.
because they're not. So I just think it's cruel. I don't think that it follows ethics. I'm sure we agree here. If not, then
Yes.
that's also a take two. But
I think regardless, they're gonna die in a cruel way.
yeah,
But what about like AI on AI? What if they're both using like AI drones?
Then it would just I
Then-
didn't bring that up because it would just get
At
to
that
a
point,
point
it's
where
just
it's
a proxy
stalemate.
war.
Yeah,
There's no
And
point to
whoever
it.
has more funds to fund the higher side of drones, which I don't think war is an answer at all. I think it should be peaceful, but inevitably
Yeah.
that's not an option at all in this world, as we know. So it's either we try to make this as illegal as possible in terms of war crimes, which obviously there's going to be people that are going to break war crimes eventually. It's never going to be a set in stone rule, but if we can minimize it to a point, just like anything else that's bad, you can make laws against crime. It's not going to completely negate it, but it'll minimize it to where it's not becoming a daily factor. It's not becoming usual
Yeah.
for people to use.
Yeah. And like really drones period should just be banned for warfare. But like when you introduce AI into it, then you're letting the AI choose whether or not a human being should live or die.
Exactly.
And like how's it gonna tell the difference between a soldier and a civilian?
Yeah.
You know? It's like what if it gets it wrong? What if it does just end up killing a person?
There's no
A civilian.
yeah. And there's no repercussions on that, really. I mean,
Because who you're gonna blame? The AI?
yeah.
Oh,
it doesn't
put a new one up. Who cares?
it makes the logical choice of what it is going off of, and it kind of goes back to what the professor discussed last week about profiling in certain like security systems and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can go when it's judging a human. It can go off of anything, and if it decides that one little thing about you can put you as a soldier or whatnot, then it can immediately make the decision.
Exactly. Like if we're fighting the Middle East again for like the millionth time, they just send drones out there. It's like eventually it's probably gonna learn like, oh, brown people, I shoot those, and then it just shoots them.
Yeah.
Like regardless of whether or not they're actually supposed to be fighting. And then like even if it does successfully have the ability to tell the difference between like a soldier and a civilian, then people could like the soldiers could like just dress up as civilians, just
Yeah.
wear civilian clothing. They wouldn't be able to tell.
Exactly.